As you said as well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Friday Eve. I'm really excited to be here and be a part of this discussion and kind of show you guys what we have in store from a mobile perspective and what we're going to be able to do to disrupt exactly what's going on in the industry today. For some of you who have, not been as in tune to who AireSpring is or what AireSpring has been doing over the years and specifically who we are, AireSpring is specifically a family-owned and operated organization. They are operated with three brothers you guys can see here, Avi, Daniel, and David. All three of them are extremely involved in the organization, which is truly refreshing and really aspiring to have that type of involvement. They continue to be, as an organization, privately held, with no need of cash investments from the outside, debt-free, and extremely profitable. So they continue to also be a top 3 AT&T Platinum Elite partner for the last 10 years and are really embedded into the channel as part of the partner technology trusted advisors, and not having any need for a direct sales team or any needs for any other outside sort of input from our world. So really great to have that sort of exposure where we have leadership involved and we're able to do a lot of things to really get creative and innovative as part of the product and portfolio that AireSpring is putting together, which now is mobile. So to get you guys some insight, I'm sure, as you all know, as you deal with your customers on a day-to-day basis, mobility is one of those things that customers want to talk about, but they want to talk about. They do not. And one of the uniqueness is that usually when you're dealing with your customers, what they're doing today from a telecom perspective, that spend or that network sort of environment that they have, they more than likely have mobility alongside of it. When it comes to how they're doing it today and what they're doing is a whole different discussion because it's a very complex phenomenon. The industry overall today, as you guys probably are aware, is extremely fragmented and very siloed. Customers today, and the experience that they have looks sort of a little bit like this, where they're having to go out and manage separate points of contact. They have separate portals that they have to go into from the wireless carrier perspective. Every one of them has a different type of order process, different types of invoices that they're having to go through, different types of applications that IT is having to deploy. You name it, it's extremely complicated. So it results in a lot of times where your customers and are not able to have the visibility into the relevant and actionable data that they actually need in order to operate and grow their business. And at the end of the day, that means that it's really difficult and challenging for them to be proactive and operate that way. So, and that goes from any organization from the mid-market size to the enterprise space. It's essentially everywhere. And as you start having these discussions, I think you'll see that that is the main reason why we have launched and come up with our MDAS program, which is part of our managed mobility solution. And ultimately what that means is we're providing an enterprise grade service that is actually designed to take the headache out of mobile management at the end of the day and make it a lot more simplistic and feasible for organizations like that you guys have as part of your portfolio with your customers. So what does that mean? Ultimately, our solution is really built in to simplify mobility by unifying multiple wireless carriers through AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, into a single streamlined platform that we'll offer. It's really going to give a lot of organizations the centralized control over mobile networks, the centralized control over the devices, as well as usage, and they're going to get real-time data analytics with all the robust requirements associated with automation, all the way to full lifecycle management that companies can significantly use and implement to help drive a lot of the initiatives they may have. And when that can be anything ranging from those that are looking for cost-cutting measures, they're looking to boost and increase their security requirements and components, or even keeping their teams connected to ensure there's minimum downtime in the field. So no matter where they are and what they're looking to do, our solution is really driven to simplify that environment for your customers and for them, as part of our model, and ultimately making it a lot more smarter, more secure, and a lot more cost effective at the end of the day. And you will see a lot of our components really being played out throughout this, where when we talk through how are we going to simplify this and what is this going to look like, well, that's where this comes in, where our model is to take that complexity of even how we talk through Are we deploying enterprise mobility today? I've had a customer recently, just to give you guys an example, that was more in the mid-market space where, they have one IT individual having to manage not only the data centers, they're managing a lot of their new desktop and laptop deployments. They're having to do a lot of, additional data center moves. There's all these other components that they're sort of enthralled into. And when it came to mobile, it's noise. It's always going to be something that they're either not one to deal with, not one to touch, and it organically becomes a chaotic environment. So this is where I was able to come into them and show them these are the kind of the components that we will put together to help simplify this process. And it resulted in them wanting to move forward and implementing the model that we've established to ensure that they have the clear vision to be a lot more proactive and productive at the end of the day. Because our model, what it's going to do is going to allow organizations to take all of these required components and put it under a single umbrella that we're calling our managed device as a service program. So this is going to account now for everything that's required from, whether it's the connectivity. When you look at the access, we'll provide the access to AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile kind of wireless carriers through AireSpring. We'll be able to provide the equipment for organizations. So if customers today are looking for devices, whether that is from the latest and greatest device, or they're looking to purchase or procure something that's 2 to 3 generations prior, we can go out and get it. That helps reduce a lot of those capital costs that organizations are trying to manage and maintain and control. And we can go out and source those, whether they're Apple devices, Samsung devices, if it's Motorola, Zebra, Cradle Points, you name it, we can go out and procure these. And we will also ensure that even when it comes down to the software, organizations that are looking to secure and enhance the security of the endpoint devices, we will allow a way for them to take that integration into our model and essentially go through and deploy any sort of requirement with either it's Intune, if it's a AirWatch or VMware, or if they've got any sort of Rocky MDM, or if they want to use it as ScaleFusion MDM. We will ensure that even from that point, the onboarding experience for that device goes through the enrollment engines that they're required for. So we can even take them and go and put them onto the Apple Business Manager profiles or Samsung Knox mobile enrollment and push the required mobile device management softwares that they have or procure through us, right? So we'll be able to go and ensure that security at the end of the day is also a key metric that is instilled into the deployment, so that these mobile device management clients that we're deploying are part of the strategy when it comes to securing the device for them. And lastly, the other thing that we'll include as part of our MDAS is really ensuring that all of these additional services that we talk through that organizations sometimes are not either aware or are not looking through as part of a known or unknown pain point, we're addressing them proactively. And what that means to you is we're simplifying that even further by including these components that you see here, such as part of the break fix strategy that we'll put together, a lot of the automated reporting, making sure that customers have day-to-day support, whether it's preparing the devices, again, as I said, where IT doesn't have to, receive devices, put the cases on them, and then ship it to the end user or the end location. We will do that. We'll go ahead and take those devices, we'll put the cases on them, we'll set them up the way they want to, fully deploy, staged and kit, ready to go. And ultimately, that means handling even the advanced replacement, like I mentioned, from a break fix perspective as well. So ultimately, as a result, what this means is that customers don't have to pay anything extra, right, to get the type of level of service and detail that they're required to ensure that they have a much more simplistic and efficient model to drive their focuses on mobility. Now, from our model and where we stand, we have really some key attributes that we focus upon. And the core advantages of our AireSpring managed mobility solution comes down to 4 key areas, which we talked through a lot of it, which is our operational efficiency piece. And that's the first one that you'll see here, which is we're driving that through a seamless multi-carrier integration. And what that does is it minimizes disruption. No longer does anybody have to worry about what carrier works where, what does it do. We'll handle all that. Customers are going to gain the key component of having a consolidated billing approach that will provide a much better spend when it comes to the visibility and also the control for any IT organization moving forward. No longer having to worry about sifting through thousands and thousands of pages that have to either get printed or trying to decipher and learn an algorithm that they can put into a program to figure out these invoices. We'll handle that for customers moving forward to simplify it. And we'll put everything into a cloud-based platform so that will be able to go in and have a single pane of glass to not only do all of their moves, adds, changes, and disconnects. They'll also be able to get real-time data analytics in terms of reporting and any other sort of inventory asset management that they were not able to gain efficiencies from prior. Because as we know, looking at carriers today, the reporting that they obtain and the way that they leverage it, is vastly different than the way customers are wanting to use it and leverage in ways that will support them. So one of the other key things that you'll see is when we talk through carrier models, today for AireSpring, we're going to have the flexibility to provide a much more robust nationwide access. So with us, it doesn't matter if a organization is looking for a single carrier or a multi-carrier approach, especially when looking at the continuing enhancements that the wireless carriers are going through when it comes to 5G, or as we look at this from a sunsetting perspective on older wireless network technologies, it becomes challenging to manage and maintain those. So AireSpring is really focusing on a carrier neutral type of approach. And that means giving customers and organizations the flexibility when it comes down to it for the coverage that they need and what they want. An example is I've got an organization who, they've got a single carrier model and they're more associated with a workforce field type of user where they were having to go from east to Midwest. And I think one of the challenges that we discussed was lacking continuous connectivity every single time, because there were areas where their AT&T network was just not operating properly. Every time they went through a certain site, it would drop, or they'd have to go back into a more populated area to get coverage again. And one of the things that I approached them with was the capability of leveraging either the dual SIM technology that the devices have now, or we also gave them the ability to just change a carrier without having to worry about the termination fees or the switching of, paying off a device because you're switching the carrier network. We eliminated all that. It was just a simple eSIM transition over, or we'd give them a new SIM card and they were able to quickly migrate and manage over to a new network using the same phone number, not having to get a new phone, wipe the device, reset, do all that. That allowed them to become a lot more operational and a lot more effective and efficient in the field and minimize the entire downtime that they were experiencing on a monthly basis. That really made a large impact when we looked at it on a yearly basis. So the model that we're offering is to give organizations and give customers that control and that freedom back. And ultimately that means reducing the headaches that traditional carriers usually come and offer with a model such as what is out there in the industry today. So we'll be able to provide the AT&T, the Verizon, T-Mobile will be launching as well later on this year from a mobile coverage perspective for voice, text, and data services, and making it a lot easier for organizations to make these decisions in a much more informed fashion to boost and amplify their capabilities in the field. Now, I know I alluded to a little bit earlier to a single pane of glass that will provide to our customers. Our AireSpring mobile portal is really going to be unique in a sense that is going to give customers a lot more control and versatility to customization. They'll be able to go in here and customize the tiles if they want to have sort of certain control variables associated with maybe someone in accounts payable doesn't need to know what somebody is putting the ticket in for, or you've got somebody who's making procurement purchases from an IT admin level that they don't need to worry about the invoicing and the inventory reporting, all that kind of stuff. So our portal is going to be built to scale and be customizable to a scenario where they'll be able to obtain any level of visibility based on the roles and responsibilities that an individual has. And from our portal, they're also going to get a lot more when it comes to the control, regardless of the carrier that they're utilizing the device with, regardless if it's either being stored for redeployment as part of our depot model, or if it's anything in between. Everything in this portal will come at no additional cost. We're not putting the charge associated with our management of the portal. They're going to have an open API platform as well, so they can see not only the devices, tablets, IoT devices. They'll have the integrations that we can do with help desk to help desk if need to. They're going to get a lot of more proactive automation and alerts, so that when users and organizations are having to no longer keep a 24-eye watch on users who are either exceeding, or maybe somebody, and I had this happen before as well, as you guys know, I'm starting to tell stories, which is users sometimes will take, and this has happened with an organization where they take a SIM card out of a Meraki or a Cradle Point device because that's what they were doing, and they took a SIM and actually put it into their home slot of a MiFi to power their entire home internet. Now, traditionally organizations don't spend a lot of time monitoring and managing these environments, and what resulted in was just an inflated amount of cost and usage because there was nobody actually gauging if that employee was either active with the organization or if that usage was associated with an actual outage. So one of the ways that I was able to implement this solution is to really give them that visibility and control, where we create alerts where as soon as they spike, whether it goes over a 10 gig, a 50 gig, 100 gig, it won't matter. We can proactively go out and notify admins and teams to create these outliers that bring light into those environments and give customers the control that they need to make more of an informed decision, because that also eliminates any security risk or potential threats because somebody's using, a device or a connection that they're not allowed to, or you've got a user that is no longer part of the organization that's somehow maintained or obtained control of the network. So it allowed them to go into the portal when we moved everything over, disconnect, make suspensions. The portal gives them a lot more visibility to, again, from an inventory perspective, have all of their accurately labeled devices from a GL code and cost and allocation listed as well too. And users have the ability to even create a workflow platform that allows for approval workflows and everything in between. So really unique, really robust. There's a lot of enhancements that we're going to be coming out within our platform that will really make it a user-focused feedback environment that we want to amplify as we start having customers use more and more and more of the day-to-day components that we're hearing from challenges that they're encountering every day. So the other key piece I really want to talk through, you guys, is to give you some insight into our model. And as I mentioned, our mobile device as a service is really unique. And what we're going to be doing is helping organizations achieve more of a Lean Six Sigma sort of methodology, right? Where today, if you look at how IT manages a lot of mobile, they might be going through a 7, 8, sometimes a 10-step process just to get a device out the door. And that's because they're having to orchestrate which carriers are shipping what devices, what's available, what is needed for each user, how are they setting up the profiles based on an MDM profile or based on the user responsibility in the field, are there accessories? There's all these components, and usually it takes days and it prolongs the deployment and it doesn't make it as efficient and effective as they want to. So with us, it's going to be more of a 3 simple step process where once your customers choose the device and model they want, and we've already established the profile associated with them, all of those devices get shipped, will be sent to our warehouse. We'll hold them in there. We'll make sure that they also get inventory and allocated to each individual user based on what their roles and responsibilities are, if that's what a customer wants. Ultimately, we have somebody who will physically pick up a device, turn it on, and even go through the steps required, and whether that is installing that MDM, turn it on and updating the operating system software, making sure that they can do test calls, or we can even make sure that we have the accessories put together, whether it's on the case or it's inside of a box. We will do all of those components and eliminate the need for IT. And we'll do it across all 3 wireless carriers seamlessly. And we'll handle all of these continuous specifications that are needed, and we'll ship, whether it's in bulk to a specific location, or we'll even ship it directly to the end user if needed. So that way they can ensure that prior to that device arriving, all of these configurations and components that your customers may need have already been met and completed upon prior to an end user even turning the device on. So the experience enhances the user's outcome. It allows them to have a much more productive time where they're not having to spend hours with IT setting things up. We will help and associate a lot of those components with them. And on average, our customers, when we implement our solution, they do see a tangible savings of 10 to 15% out the gate. And that's comparison to what they're paying today. And we do a very thorough analysis to even showcase and highlight what that looks like for customers on a day-to-day basis. And we want to ensure that when customers are going through this component, they're seeing that their self-managed model is the status quo, is what they're accustomed to doing, and is what they know how to do, and they haven't been exposed to anything new before. So our model is to truly help organizations place these orders via our AireSpring portal and automate every step of the way and eliminate the need of them having to be part and involved from all these steps that you guys see here, right? From the manual touches to the shipment, the logistics, provisioning. We eliminate that and essentially create a more of a streamlined method that allows them to achieve the outcome they want. Now, all of these things that I said sound fantastic, and as much as I love talking about this, I can keep doing about all day, but I want to reassure you guys that this is not the first time AireSpring has done something like this when it comes to mobility. We've done mobile for a very long time, from the backup, failover backup scenarios and wireless for years, and mobile from a voice, text, and data component that we're coming out where we can go and procure the hardware, procure the services, and do the mobile device as a service component is really unique to us, because we've got organizations that have been around with AireSpring for a very long time. And many of these brands that you guys see here, they're leading brands. They're known and operate across many verticals, whether that's retail, hospitality, banking, manufacturing, you name it. AireSpring has been and is involved in every single one of these. So top brands today, they do trust AireSpring when it comes to ensuring that they are keeping them connected and they're staying protected at the end of the day from all of the requirements that they have within the industry. And mobile is another component that is now part of this portfolio that organizations are starting to take advantage of. And we have done this for, again, from a scalable perspective. We've done your smaller organizations, right, from a mid-market. We've done everything from enterprise, and AireSpring has that backing and that experience to be able to handle everything in between that you guys may need. So know that it's not brand new. This is not an environment that AireSpring is not known to be able to jump into. Very well informed, very well capable of ensuring that we are taking care of customers no matter the size. Now, for the good part that I like to talk about, which is what happens next, what do we do from here? This all sounds great. Well, the first thing that I would always recommend when it comes to the mobile space is really making sure that you guys reach out to your channel managers and engage with the AireSpring's wireless mobile expert, so that we can help and assure that we are working together to uncover those customer challenges and pain points. I don't expect anyone here to really be the mobile expert when it comes down to it. We have a dedicated team to really help you guys and be an extension of your team to facilitate along every step of the way exactly what it is that a customer is trying to solve for, what their known or unknown challenges are, and really drive those conversations to fruition so that we can provide a holistic approach to the wireless analysis that we'll put together. Once we have a clear picture of what it is that's trying to be solved for, what they're looking for, what we do from there is we do what's called an exchange of data and analysis, where we'll take in a wireless invoice where you guys will get a wireless invoice in a PDF format from the wireless carrier's portal. You'll also go ahead and obtain the wireless inventory reports. We get these two pieces of information so that we can do a comprehensive analysis on our side, where we'll go through and scrub every line, making sure that customers are actively either paying correctly for their inventory, matching to their current active lines, and everything in between. And then we'll go through a solution overview internally to make sure that we're all aligned on what it is that we've uncovered and how we want to present. And then from there, we go and present the solution back to the customer, ensure that we're all aligned on what it is that we've identified as part of the analysis and comparison, agree upon next steps, and then we have a fully dedicated team once we have contract and agreement signed that will go through the implementation, and we offer a dedicated project manager where they'll schedule the kickoff call and handle all of the onboarding and implementation for you. This results in a much more detailed approach when it comes to how we even pay, the level of attention we pay towards our implementation onboarding. Our project manager will go through and scope out a timeline to make sure customers are in agreement with how they want to move services over, what that's going to look like, what do we automate, where and who the assigned team members are, from the wireless care to the account managers to the billing specialists and everything in between. So there's a suite of resources and teams that we do assign and dedicate along every step of the way for our customers to really make sure that they have the best experience and the best outcome possible.